Hey guys, it's Alasia coming to you with my very first non-car video. I'm very proud of myself. Tonight I'm going to do just a real quick review of the Daily Wire's newest movie that came out last night called The Hyperions. Now it debuted on YouTube for anyone to watch, but is now just available for Daily Wire members. So I watched this movie kind of on a whim. I was working last night and I got the notification it went live on YouTube, and I was just going to let it play. I was just going to mute it and keep on working because um, I was busy and I am a Daily Wire member, so I was like, I can watch it later. I don't need to watch it right this second. And I just wanted to support the Daily Wire, give them viewing numbers and stuff. But then the first few minutes started rolling, and I kind of got sucked in immediately. And I ended up, I'm just going to watch it, sit down and watch it. And man, I'm really glad I did because I really enjoyed it. Um, it was definitely not a normal watch for me. I'm generally not someone who watches indie or artsy films, which I think this movie could definitely fall into both those categories. So I was hesitant to watch it when I saw the trailer. It did look intriguing, no doubt, but I wasn't sure if it was for me. So I was really surprised about how invested I became in both the story and the characters, and just how in love with it I was by the time the credits were rolling. So before I get to my review, I'm going to preface this and say I am not a movie buff, okay? I feel lucky I know who John Wayne is or Brad Pitt and can remember what they've been in. So I am not a great consumer of movies. For anyone who knows me, I love books. That's my medium, and that's what I love reviewing. So be gentle with me and don't judge me too harshly because I am coming at this from an entirely normie perspective. Okay, definition of a normie sitting right here. So I'm going to do a real quick summary, and I'm going to make this as spoiler free as possible because if you are a Daily Wire member, I really think you should go watch this and leave a review for it because it all helps the Daily Wire, and they are trying to work against the mainstream grain of Hollywood, which so many of us take issue with. So the Hyperions were kind of like this manufactured superhero family created by Carrie Ells. I think I said his name right. I'm not positive. It's the guy from Princess Bride, okay? Wesley. And his character's name is Professor Mandelbaum. I believe I'm saying that right. He found these three kids and essentially gave them superpowers. Now, we never really find out how or why he created this little disc that sits on their wrist, and it like manipulates their DNA only when they're wearing the disc and gives them superpowers. So we were never really told that, but he did, and they became superheroes. So the blonde girl Vera, she could read minds and influence people. The little boy Ansel was super strong, which was hysterical because I have bigger arms than that boy. It was so funny, and it was definitely a very clever way to play on Mr. Incredible being the strong one, and he's no bigger than a tree. It was pretty funny. And then the girl Maya, she could teleport anywhere in the world, which was really cool. Now, for a variety of reasons, once these three kids reached adulthood, Vera and Ansel were kind of forced into retirement, and new kids were brought in to be the new supers. But Maya did stay, again, for a variety of reasons. Now, when they're older, Vera and Ansel have to rob the museum where their little discs that gave them their superpowers are on display for people to go and look at. Now, from there, chaos ensues and storyline plays out, and the ending was for me very surprising. But again, I'm not going to say any more than that because I really want you to go watch this film. What I loved about this movie first and foremost is it definitely gave some strong Incredibles vibe. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I love the Incredibles. I think that's such a good movie. And this movie gave me the same vibe, so I really appreciated it for that. I love that it's set in the 70s. I can't tell you why. It just fits. And I don't know why. I'm sure there's some movie explanation for that. I don't know what it is. I just like the whole vibe of the 70s. I thought it was great. I like the feel of it. The whole thing was just spot on. Now, I especially loved how weird it was. It was really weird. Now, again, I generally don't go in for artsy or indie films because I was forced to watch a lot of them in college because for whatever reason, university professors really love them and I really hate them. But I surprisingly never felt uncomfortable watching this like the way I have it with other artsy movies. The silences and the long pauses, the actors looking directly into the camera, it all felt appropriate, I think, most importantly, because this movie's not trying to compete with DC or Marvel, which is the biggest superhero franchises we have. And at times you almost kind of forget that this is supposed to be a superhero film because of the heartfelt human element in it. So I loved that it wasn't trying to compete with anyone, it was just doing its own thing, and I think it just did it marvelously. Now, about the human element, this movie was about family first and foremost. Others might see it differently, but for me, it was about, a broken family finding its way back to each other, which I just loved. I think its secondary theme is how like fame, money, and power corrupt, which Jeremy Boring did kind of talk about at the end and the after party. He didn't specifically say if that was like a theme in the movie, but you like thinking back, you can definitely see it. It doesn't do this in a preachy way by any means. And to be honest with you, I felt it was more like the parable of the prodigal son in the Bible. Because the ultimate message is forgiveness, forgiveness for a family who lost its way and has to kind of find its way back to each other. You don't have to have read the Bible to see that, though. It's quite plain in, its message. I know we hate that, but that's definitely a strong theme in the movie. Some other elements that I really loved about this film were the animation that was sprinkled throughout. I thought it was really well done and added to the weird factor, but reminded you, this isn't supposed to be a serious drama or like a serious superhero film. So I really loved the animation, and I really hope that means the Daily Wire is starting to lean into some other things, because whoever did it was really well done. Again, not a movie person, so I don't know who did it, but I really, really liked that. And I just love, I'm just going to call him Wesley, the professor dude. I loved his character. The professor was just really complicated, but really well done, and he played him perfectly. You equally despise him at parts and then feel really sorry for him at others, and you end up loving him. I mean, I did by the end. So well done to him for that performance. I'm so impressed. And I mean, in all honesty, all the actors were just fabulous. So just really well done to all of the cast and crew. The one thing I will say about the storyline I wish we'd seen a little more of was Ansel, honestly. I think he was a great character, and I would have loved to see him a little more developed. And I found myself wanting to see him more on screen. So, Daily Wire, if you ever do a novelization, first of all, I will review that. And if you do, please give him more scenes, because I really liked Ansel. I definitely got the vibe that he cared very, very greatly for Vera, and I wish we'd seen that just a little bit more. Now, I do have a couple of small qualms about the movie, and they're nothing big, but one of them was the only fight scene that we saw the Hyperions do, which was Maya. She was fighting some bad guys in East Germany. And again, this is set in the 70s, so, Iron Curtain and all that. It wasn't the most believable thing in the whole wide world to watch this itty-bitty, tiny, skinny girl beat up a bunch of grown men. I found that scene kind of took me out a little bit, because I was like, I don't know about that, because all she can do is teleport, remember? She's not, like, strong like Ansel, and I never got the sense that these superheroes have an Avengers compound where they go train, if you know what I mean. So I found that scene a little but I do applaud them. This girl, Maya, she did take a couple of serious hits from these guys, and she did get injured. So I will say that was really well done. I just wish, she had these really cool powers of transportation. I wish that they'd use them a little more, I don't know, strategically. Like if she were transporting them back and forth across the room and getting the bad guys to fight each other, like kind of to show off that she's a smart character rather than her punching a guy that's like twice her size and him falling to the ground. I wish they'd done that instead of, her fighting them directly. I think that it could have been cool if they'd used her teleportation powers a little more cleverly, I guess is what I'd say, because we actually did see that later in the film. She did, use her transportation powers very strategically, and I really liked it. So I wish we'd seen it in that film, in that scene, just a little bit more. But apart from that, there were just tiny things that there were some threads I didn't feel that were tied off all that successfully, but that also could be because it was my first viewing and I missed it, because again, there's just every shot and every little thing and every single scene is very deliberate. So I could have just missed a couple of these little issues that I have. Now, on that note, I'm not terribly sure about the rewatchability of this film. Like, it's probably not something you're going to turn on for background noise and, listen while you're working or whatever. I like to do that with movies. But I definitely feel like this is something that you can turn on, say, on a Friday night if you want to kind of watch something a little off the beaten track. So I definitely feel like you'll enjoy it still if you go back to it, but it's not something you're going to go back to, I think, over and over and over again. So overall, I have to say I loved this film. I really had a good time with it, and it really pulled at the heart, which I loved. And again, sometimes you forgot it was a superhero film, but I think that that's kind of a good thing because they were pulling you more into with the human element. Overall, I give it an 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, sorry, and I think it really deserves it. So if you're a Daily Wire member, I'd highly encourage you to go watch this and support their efforts in offering an alternative to Hollywood. I do really commend them for what they're doing, and I am so incredibly excited for their next film, Terror on the Prairie, starring the one and only Gina Carano. So, onwards and upwards from here for the Daily Wire. I'm so excited for what they're doing and what they're achieving. So yeah, definitely go and support them. And that's all I have for now. So I will catch you guys later. Bye.